Yeah.
Well, good night, one and all, and welcome to another edition of FTB's Cop Talk. KB, fan them flies, man. Fan them flies, bro. I know what it's like in this time. We are going to say good evening, goes Mr. KV. How you doing, sir?
On velvet, as usual. Come on.
Lovely. Good big shouts goes out, Mr. Preds.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm in the executive suite tonight, boy.
I see that, man. You're chilled.
Living the best one.
Big shouts goes out, Mr. Stoney. What part of the country are we in this time, Stoney?
No, I'm back down in London now, man.
Okay.
You can tell he's back in London.
Have your rucksack will travel.
Something like that, man.
You got that London suntan right now.
Yes. Good big shouts goes out to Reese, who's logged on already, saying, "Yeah, what a start too, right?" I'll tell you. Well, gentlemen, what can we say? What can we say about today's performance?
I'm all right with the game, man. I'm all right.
Let's start with a lineup. Is that the lineups that you would have gone with, gentlemen?
I would have started Gomez.
You would have started who?
I would have started Gomez. Later list, I would have started Gomez. I thought young Naldinho, young Phillips, he done an outstanding job, but I would have started young Joey Gomez. I think his passing is better. And the boys need to keep the ball on the floor a bit quicker. So I'd pick Joe Gomez.
Okay, Preds.
Yeah, I think if he's fit enough to be on the bench, then I would have thought that he would have been fit enough to start. But obviously, there's something in training that Klopp's seen that Phillips is probably that little bit sharper. Yeah, for me, if Gomez is fit enough to be on the bench, he's got to start.
Okay, Stoney.
You know what
I mean? It wouldn't even have crossed my mind that Nat Phillips would have been in contention to actually have started today. So I think the previous game we'd obviously seen Henderson and Thiago had the little knock. So those were probably always going to be question marks whether they were actually going to play. So it didn't surprise me when Harvey Elliott and Milner played. But as I said, for me, there was a question mark over Phillips. But look, I suppose the bigger picture is Klopp and the coaching staff are going to see way more training sessions than us. And if they probably thought that Gomez probably wasn't going to last the whole game or was probably going to only give us like 45 minutes or 35 minutes, then I suppose we can't really question that. But I was quite surprised to see that Phillips play.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. B. Just the shout out goes out, Mr. Reese. Okay. Yeah. I would have liked Phillips to have played. Gomez to have started, but the talk was that he's had a little niggle, so that's why they didn't really want to start him. You know what I mean? They would have brought him on because I thought with his ball playing and his pace as well, playing up against like someone Zaha, he's got a bit of pace as well. I thought it would have been a good look myself having him come on. But yeah, Nat Phillips didn't do such a bad job, to be fair.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get us wrong. I mean, it wasn't his fault for the goal, and he played as well as he could have done. But he had a lot of possession tonight, didn't he?
He did.
He had a lot of possession, and he kept coming forward. He was doing the runs that Matip, you usually see Matip do. But Matip is a little bit more probably worldly, a bit more experienced. Whereas Matty Phillips ran 10 yards with the ball and then went sideways, and then we lost momentum, didn't we? So, he didn't play. It wasn't due down to him. Didn't do bad, did he? But we just sort of like to see him Gomez. To Breeze.
Good evening, Mr. R&B.
Good evening.
Mr. R&Bizzle.
Typical diva entrance, you know what I mean?
Always, always comes in late. Big smile.
I was waiting patiently in the green room. I was literally biding my time.
All right.
Yeah,
So, Tabriz, the question I asked everybody is, would that have been your starting lineup, Tabriz?
Sorry?
The question I asked everybody just beforehand was, would that have been your starting lineup?
Apart from Phillips, yes, with the injuries that we have at this present moment. But yeah, apart from Phillips.
Okay, so you would have preferred to start Gomez, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, but as we've said, right, I don't know if you heard, the rumor mill is that Gomez was carrying a niggle, so they wasn't sure how long he'd last. So this is why he didn't start the game. Yeah.
So he shouldn't have come on.
Well,
I think it's one of those things, as I was saying as well, Tabriz. I do apologise for interrupting. I think the commentary, they were saying that they were unsure of his full match fitness, so how much minutes he probably would have given us. And I suppose we can always speak about in hindsight. Can you imagine if he started and then he broke down, say, for instance, after 20 minutes and Nat Phillips came on? I mean, look, we're ever going to know how that would have played out. But as he said before, for myself, I'm not going to question Klopp or the coaching staff. And it is what it is, really.
But also as well, Phillips came off. So Phillips came off in the 50th or 60th minute. So was he unfit? And did Gomez come on to try and utilize Zaha's pace? Because
yes.
I think it was more of a tactical thing. If anything, I think it was more tactical. I mean, look, if you have to think of the way that Palace set up, and you have to give credit to Patrick Vieira and the way how disciplined Palace actually played today, they would not. I don't think Vieira and his coaching staff, when they were planning for today's game, I don't think they were envisaged in that they would have been up against Nat Phillips. But obviously, Zaha clearly saw out of the two whether he's going to be up against Nat Phillips or Van Dijk today. All of his runs were actually straight towards Nat Phillips. And it's credit to him. It's credit to him, but all of his runs were directed to Nat Phillips. Even the ball from Eze that was played through to him, he almost did a jink on the inside, went round Nat Phillips on the outside, and still beat him to the ball. Yeah. So it's credit to Zaha the way that he obviously, just used it to advantage.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would obviously target Nat Phillips too. You don't have to be skillful. You just knock it past him and go.
I mean, I don't think he had I thought he had an okay game, and of course they kind of broke it down in terms of how the Liverpool centre backs don't really cover each other. And I think if Matt Phillips would have actually ran with Zaha, I think he would have got there. But because he kind of gambled on that high line and gambled that Van Dijk would just also because it was Van Dijk that was playing him on. So I don't think he had a bad game. So for him to come off, it didn't make sense for Gomez to come on if he's carrying an injury. And coming into a game is harder than starting the game because you're trying to catch your breath, you're trying to make sense of your surroundings. So it just didn't. Well, I mean that's just my own opinion anyway. But
I mean, we've got to come into a game at a frenetic pace and come in and try and catch up with the game rather than starting the game. It is, but I also feel that he came on because of Zaha's pace. And thinking about like the substitution they made, like bringing on Eduardo as well. So I thought, you know what, a safety net, bring him on, just in case. So, gentlemen, talk to me about these missed chances, man. My days.
Where they really missed chances? Where they missed chances?
There was half chances, weren't they? I think there were chances,
Nunes is one that he put over in the first half from the cross from
that's a chance.
That's a chance. Got a point there. I'm of the opinion that Palace defended well, defended deep, and that we just wasn't clinical in the final third. I don't really think
they didn't defend that great. They just had bodies there. We weren't clinical.
That's it. That's what they had. Body. They defended deep. That's good enough. They got people in the way.
Let me tell you something. If that was Man City who had them chances that we was doing today, they'd have been 2-3 up.
Yeah,
I guarantee you that they'd have been 2-3 up.
Yeah.
There was something in the final third that wasn't there today.
That's the difference.
I mean, I said it last week in the last week's show that Palace under Palace under Vieira, I get it out. They're a different kind of beast. And I said last week they're big, they're physical, they're strong, they're mobile, all right, they're disciplined, and also they've got super pace and a couple of people who can be match winners. All right, they didn't surprise me in the way they set up. It was down to us. It was down to Liverpool to try and force get away through. And what I got frustrated about, especially the middle of the first half, is that we just started forcing it. You know, we started going long all the time. Yeah, long balls, and they're chasing. And it's like Palace actually defended quite well. We say defended quite well. I'd say they defended comfortably.
We made it comfortable.
And we made it comfortable. And that was the frustrating bit, the frustrating part of, you know, actually having a bright start. We started in the first 15 minutes. We started as usual on fire, but we needed a goal.
Yeah.
And they were and Nunez's one early doors was a chance that should have been on target.
The one where he hit the post as well, he mishit it.
Yeah. There's one where where Salah's put him through and he's gone with his left foot and he's totally missed it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not trying to put pressure on the fella, but when you're spending 85 million on a striker, you're expecting one of those three to go in. Definitely. Standard. That's the levels that we're hitting. And one of those chances should have been converted. And it's just disappointing. Obviously, we know what he didn't finish the game. So it's frustrating. But
Billy Smith, welcome to the show, Billy. And he says, asked to Breeze, he said that Nunez shouldn't start. So, Billy Smith, just out of interest, Billy, who would you have started? Can you type that in the comments for me, please, and let me know who you would have started? There's 8 there watching. Please press that like, that share, and that subscribe button. Yeah, let's share the thing all over the place. Come on, gents.
Who was on the bench? Who was on the bench for us? Can you remember?
Offensively.
Yeah.
Offensively.
I think
offensively, we didn't. We had Bobby Clark. We had Stefan. We had one of our young players. I can't pronounce his first name, but he's not a striker. We had Edwin, and that's it. So I mean,
Bobby Clark was on the bench as well.
Yeah, Bobby Clark was there. So if you're talking about offensive players, and those are the players that obviously came on, you're looking at Bobby Clark and Carvalho. If you check something, right, probably around 67 minutes, all right? And this was clearly a tactical thing for us. We changed, when the sending off happened, we went to 4-3-2, right? But Trent Alexander's positioning completely changed. Mm-hmm. He wasn't always on the right-hand side. He was always almost playing as a central midfielder.
In the middle.
And then the one player behind Salah and Nunez. I mean, sorry, I do apologize. Between Salah and Diaz, yes. The position was changing. So it's quite interesting this game. We actually didn't have another offensive player to actually go up there. I know Carvalho can obviously play up as one of the 3 up top. But when he came on, his position was a little bit more lower down. So we didn't really.
We're down to bare bones, aren't we?
Billy's Jota, you do know that Jota's out for about 2 months, yeah?
Jota actually had his tracksuit on.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy.
Oh,
Billy. It's okay, bro. Just let it go.
Trent turned out his striker towards the end, and then Harvey Elliott was covering.
Yeah, they were making that positional change. He was playing like an inverted forward. Trent did.
So, gentlemen, what do we do about these chances, man? We need to start converting these chances. We can't keep doing that because against better opposition, we're going to find ourselves in a lot of trouble.
It looks like they're going to find out the hard way. I mean, our next game is the gift that keeps on giving, so we'll just discount that one, and we'll wait for the next game. Because
remember, no matter what it is, it's Man United, and they will always
They will turn up. They will
always raise their game against Liverpool. 100%.
100%. I think it's too early in the season to be worried, but I think going back on what Tabriz said on the last show, we've dropped points now. We're 4 points behind Man City. That's in the early part of the season. That's quite a gap to give a team like Man City.
Nothing to panic about. nothing to panic about at all. Our players will come back. It's a long season. It's a long season.
But it's concerning that we're having these chances, these guilted chances. We're not snapshots. These are guilted chances that should be converted.
Well, we kind of had the same problems last season, where we was frustrated by a lot of teams, especially in the top six. So it's not a new issue what we're dealing with today. It's definitely not a new issue.
At the back end of the season, yeah, we did. We had that.
Yeah, we did.
I mean,
I'm not going to panic now. We'll just see how the season goes on. It's too early. It's 2 games in. Obviously, we would have liked the win, obviously, but I don't really think there's anything to panic about. I think the boys are still gelling. What I mean? It's going to be a long season. I think we'll be okay.
I think it's something to worry about. We've all spoken about the loss of Mane, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I've said that we are technically a weaker team, and against Palace and Fulham, teams respectively, we should have got maximum points, especially at home against Palace. The loss of Mane is now becoming more apparent. You see, you always talk about partnerships, especially in the Premiership, and Salah is looking like he's a solo rider, at this present moment in time, and it's something when you kind of look at the squad and the players that we had available to come on. We had a very young and inexperienced bench, and if we're competing at all fronts, it is something to be slightly worried about. And can we? I mean, again, do you think that starting 11 is worthy to win the Premier League that we just that we started today?
I think the only thing that I question in that, to Bruce, is I think one thing that we've mentioned on the show this season and last season was the importance of us bringing in new players, reducing the age range, and also having some form of transition. So that transition's either in the way in which we're playing or way in which new players are actually coming into our squad. I believe that's what's going to be happening this season. So in terms of the younger players coming in, we would have seen obviously Harvey Elliott get some gameplay to then obviously Carvalho coming on. I still see Nunez and obviously Diaz being fairly young players as well. We're looking at as well the early 20s. It's going to take a little while. I'm really not concerned. I thoroughly agree with you about the loss of Mane, but this is a transition that us on the show and a lot of our supporters actually speaking about for a period of time. It's going to come good. I'm really not concerned. I think the strength and depth that we've actually got are good enough, and we're going to be fine. I really do think we're going to be fine.
Yeah. Must say, I was very, very happy with Harvey Elliott today. I must say, the boy was doing bits for me today.
Yeah.
He definitely held his head up high. You know what I mean? Well done, son. And he's only going to get better with more games for me. Injury free, and we got a world beater on our hands. I tell you, in the next couple of years, he's going to be top boy, man, top boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to keep them players coming through like that. Players around him, like when I said about would that be your starting 11, all of us seem to have agreed about Nat Phillips, but no one mentioned would you have rather had Milner or Henderson. No one mentioned that.
I think it actually worked out fine today because last season I know we played a lot of games last season, and to the latter end of the season, Milner looked like he was running on, Henderson looked like he was running on fumes. I know he's had a mixed pre-season for us as well, and it may be that he's possibly trying to get up to match fitness as well. I thought it was okay for Milner to actually start. However, when Henderson came on, he offered us something completely different in midfield as well. You can see that he had the energy. He was helping to reorganize us. His distribution was a combination of short and long balls as well. He was moving primarily on the left-hand side of us and on midfield as well today. So he offered something completely different. And once again, as I said, I have no idea what about this. Was it to do with match fitness as well? Maybe maybe Henderson may have been in the same boat as Gomez, where there was probably only a certain amount of minutes that they would have been able to give us for today's game. So they both played completely different, but I think they obviously complemented the way that we actually played today.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that question is because same thing like what Preds was talking about, how this being that side, you know, mobile, this, that, and the other. Obviously, Hendo's got more legs than me. And he's going to be about a bit more. So that's the reason why I asked that. He'd be about a bit more for me. And you're going to need that to combat them, to be fair. But to be honest, Crystal Palace weren't really offering us nothing. To be fair, defensively.
Yeah, I mean, if
they weren't really offering us nothing.
Yeah, I think let's be honest. If like Mourinho managed Palace and literally got a point, everyone would say they parked the bus. So literally, let's not get caught up in terms of that's a great, play by Vieira. He's literally done what Mourinho's been doing for years. So that's kind of one thing, and also as well, I think Robbo coming off as well. I think last season has taken it out on a lot of players, and again, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Probably players are in what they call, is it the orange or red zone when it kind of comes to games, because Robbo wouldn't come off. Really,
he was getting involved. I don't know if you guys managed to focus on it, but he was losing his head. He was getting involved in a lot of the banter on that side. I think was it Ayew was playing over on that side against Robbo today.
Yeah,
I think he was probably looked like he was going to. I mean, look, wonderful professional. Since he's been at this, he's been amazing. But I don't know what was happening on the pitch between him and Ayew, but Robbo's head was going. So once again, I think that was more to do with maybe Klopp seeing that they may have been a potential to another card. And obviously we wouldn't have wanted another Diaz, a Nunes situation. But I think it was probably more to do with that, Therese.
I thought.
KV, the question I've been longing to ask now, and Billy's brought it in too. So what's your opinion on this red card now?
I thought it was well exaggerated. He had barely touched him. I mean, the man crept up behind him. You don't creep up behind grown people. I mean, he was obviously startled.
Bro, this ain't the streets, bro. This ain't the streets, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I mean, you creep up behind anybody, and he was startled.
Bro.
I thought it was well exaggerated. Definitely was a red card for me.
Okay. Preds.
It was a silly mistake that he's going to learn from. Regardless of how we look at it, at the end of the day is that his head's made contact with
Did it really make contact? I didn't see it make contact.
I'm unsure about that myself. About his head. A lot more chest.
But the issue is that he's given the referee a decision to make, especially the way Anderson's reacted through the situation. He's given the referee a reason to make a decision.
What's up with these men from Uruguay, man? Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
It's South Americans, bro.
It's South Americans.
They're militant in it.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn a lesson today. Oh yeah.
What did you make of it?
Red card. Red card.
Red card. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was silly, mate.
He's saying, where was Naby today? Same place Fred was.
Naby was making jello. That's what Naby was doing.
Same place Fred was, yeah. Leave him alone.
Naby was making jello. Hey.
Notice how significantly better Diaz played when Nunes went off.
I think that transition was quite interesting. That's a really good comment by Billy. I think when Nunes went off, obviously we changed the formation to the 4-3-2. So Diaz wasn't required to hug the left side as much. He was playing actually more centrally, and he almost seemed to have more license and more space to actually play. In a strange thing, it almost appeared that he had more energy as well. I was thinking, this brother, he's drunk about 12 Red Bull. It's almost as if his energy levels went up, and that wasn't even just offensively, defensively as well, tracking back. I couldn't believe it, but he was clearly galvanized. When
working back and all sorts, running 40 yards, 50 yards back to make challenges and all sorts. I love that.
He put in the shift today.
Yeah, he did. So would you have him as your man of the match then, gents?
Yeah.
Diaz.
Diaz.
Yeah, I would. Closely followed by Harvey.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's the goal, obviously. That sold it, because to be fair, he was quite quiet in the first half. Was our Diaz? Wasn't really doing that much, but second half,
his twinkle toes boy.
He gave his own.
Yeah, man, he gave the sugar boy.
I go Elliot with man of the match. He had a storming game, absolute storming game. He come up against a really strong opponent in Eze, really strong opponent, and there was still a moment where Eze had his ticket, and there's a moment where Elliot fought back and had his ticket. I'm really impressed with Elliot because Eze's a talented kid, strong, talented
little mofo, that boy. I see a little couple of times he did that little jink and just left man the other way. Gone.
Yeah, you're right. For Palace, I think Eze had a very, very, very good game, and I think I'm probably going to pronounce his name incorrectly. Is it Mark Gueye, the centre back that used to play for Chelsea? I think he had a really good game for Palace as well. But those two strong. I love the way he organised that back line today.
Palace is a good team. Vieira's done very well.
But see, the thing gets me right is like, we're compact Palace on the back. So that just tells me we didn't do enough enough. We're talking about we're at home, first league game of the season. Reaction from Fulham, like we've got to be better than that. And I'm not panicking, and I'm not saying that we won't be better than that. But then we've also got to have a bit of realism in saying that Klopp is now trying to replace one of the most successful strike partnerships in Premiership history. And that's not going to take that, and that's not going to come overnight. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
We're not going to, but we should have. But I've got to be honest, we should have done better tonight. We should have been coming away with 3 points. We should have put away the chances that we had, and we should have put them to bed.
You see with that, Preds. You see with that. Like you were saying that we should have done better. I think what's quite interesting is, I know last season we had a lot of people tuning in on the show, and what they were saying was when teams sat deep against us, that we didn't have anybody in midfield that can probably open up or unlock other teams. Whereas today, we'll just give an example, right? We had 24 shots, 10 on target. So there's two things about this. One, we did create more chances, considering we played against a team with a low block, and we know we're going to come up against teams that's going to do that to us. And then the second part is where I completely agree with you. Those 10 chances should have been buried. So there's two factors here. If anything, we have improved from last season when we were playing against teams that have played a low block. We were able to create more chances, get in and around these various players getting in and, creating chances. But I agree, we should have finished more of those chances there.
Yeah, you see what Prez is saying there, and it's true. It's going to take time for that chemistry to come, especially like with Nunes and that as well. Even Diaz still, it's going to take time for that chemistry to come working across the front three. What Mane, Bobby, and Salah had, that didn't just come overnight. Remember?
Exactly.
And then before you knew it, it was just a little touch here, bang, bang, and he's put his player through because they just knew what they were on. They've been doing it for time in training. They've been doing it for time in matches. It's not just going to come overnight.
Absolutely.
But what you can be sure of is that you can see that the players are quality enough that it will come.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. But it's just how long is it going to take? Are we going to be that far behind that we won't be in a title challenge? That's the worry. And I hear what Teresa is saying.
Yeah,
and that's the worry.
Yeah. And again, I think when Salah, Mane, and Bobby actually clicked, you actually look at the players behind them. We had Wijnaldum, in his prime, Hendo, and who else did we have in there? We had Fab, right? Yeah, Fab.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah,
so
Fab was there as well.
So we don't have. I'd say right now that midfielder where we can rely on and say, okay, you're going to play like 8, 85-90% of the games, like we did with Henderson in his prime, Wijnaldum in his prime as well. And of course, that protection helped Liverpool function. And yeah, yes, it is a transitional period, 100%. But
okay, good evening, G Troy. Welcome to the show. G Troy says that Van Dijk looked like he's scared committing to tackles.
I didn't see that.
I think he's a Rolls Royce and he just oozes. He don't need to commit to tackles because his sheer presence.
I think Van Dijk
modern day Alan Hansen.
Yeah. He's a VVD sheer presence, kind of, and his timing and his reading of the game. He doesn't need to commit to tackles. It was unfortunate what happened to him against Fulham, but I think VVD's slowly but surely getting back to the defender that we all know and love, world-class player.
I don't really recall him having to really make that many tackles like that, to be fair.
And me neither.
Like I said, Palace didn't really offer that much going forward, so he didn't really have to do that much.
Palace knew exactly what they came to do. They set up very well. They had a game plan and they stuck to it.
Yeah,
they wasn't really going to engage with our centre backs like that. They were, going past them.
Yeah, I
think hit us on the break.
Exactly.
I think Eze was showing Trent up. It looked very easy to get past Trent today.
Yeah, you know what? I do agree, and I think in this game, I think everyone has seen what Trent can do offensively. Like offensively, he's literally one of the best fullbacks in Europe. Defensively, he's not the best, and literally, we've spoken about this. We just have to accept that.
Thank you. Yeah, we've said this time and time again, and I think a point of that is, for me, what I noticed is what makes it easy for Eze is because Trent is chasing him back. When he gets back to him, he's off balance. So all Eze, he does a little drink and he's lost him. Simple.
Yeah.
If he was on the correct side of him already and was able to stand him up, it would be a lot harder for him to then turn around and beat him. He's made it easy for him to do it. That's what it is.
Eze is dope still, though. That boy.
Oh, come on. He is.
A very good player.
He is. The reason I say bench Nunes and sub him on is because I feel with Nunes on the bench, Klopp has an option to completely change tactics mid-game, and it became successful, i.e. the Fulham game. All good in hindsight, but who did we have to start up there in place of Nunes today, Billy?
Yeah, exactly. I think
Kenny Dalglish?
Right. I think Nunes would have started.
Rashi was in the stands.
I think he was right. I think Nunes would have started on the bench, but as we know, we had no one else to start. So that if he can remember that very important point, then that's it. Then.
Oh, here we go, Joe. I like this. Get involved, people. Get involved. No, he's a starter all day long. You are basing that on 2 games. Couldn't disagree more, mate.
That's what it's about, opinions.
You can't determine a player's impact on 2 games, so I don't think he'll be good signing, but clearly needs to keep his head. 100%.
Well, and you know the other side of that as well. Look, someone's going to get 3 games to make an impact while Nunes is sitting and observing us play now from the bench. That's a straight red card. So someone else is going to have the opportunity, and I'm sure when he comes back that he's going to be ready. He'll have a clearer head. I mean, you guys will probably know more than me. I cannot recall the last time we've had a player sent off. Like a straight red.
Andy Robertson.
But Robert, it was 2 yellows for Robert, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 yellows,
yeah. So I can't remember the last. I can't remember the last player for us that got a straight red.
Sadio Mane when he busted Ederson.
Oh yeah.
We relied on you for that thingy.
Yeah.
Against Man City.
Against Man City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. And that was a little wider.
I mean, when do we know when Firmino and Jota are back? Do we know what's the apple with them?
Let's go to our wealth of wisdom. Stoney?
No. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do after. I'm just gonna give him a call after this and find out when he's coming back.
Give him a call now, mate. Give him a call now.
Good evening, Talk Around You. Good evening. I hope you're ready for next week. Yeah, Monday we got a bit of frustration to take out somewhere on Monday, mate. I tell you, all of a sudden you're not turning up and playing the ball of your lives. You know what I mean? On Monday, when we had to teach you about the birds and the bees. Yeah.
You going deep, blood.
I have to, bro. After these, I have to. All of a sudden, I've got Man United men sending me pictures now. Patrick Vieira, like,
oh, leave off.
yeah, I'm
we
telling you,
didn't
bro, I'm
lose.
telling you.
The thing, you know what's funny, right? Is that we didn't lose, right? Yeah, we're not as clinical and as sharp as we would like to be. But what's concerning is that we got Man United next. Now, in my mind and my heart, we're gonna, that's the gift that keeps on giving. We blitz them, but I don't want everyone to get too excited because the following game we could go back to what we saw today. Man United is not that's not a test. That's 3 points. That's dinner. Nyam that. In the next game, are we going to go back to today? That's the issue.
Man, you says, bro, I'm not looking forward to it. Like I said earlier in the show, you must have missed it. Man, you would always raise their game against us. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
Talking about.
They're going to raise their game.
They couldn't raise a biscuit to some tea. Hey? You're kidding me or what? Hey? They couldn't raise it to take a Viagra pill. How about that?
Where do you get them from, KP?
He says players who are big and strong can change the game and formation. Liverpool have the option now, but to be fair, wouldn't mind seeing them as a 5-3-1-1 with fullbacks pushing up. Our fullbacks push up anyway. To be fair, we have spoken about that with the Nunes coming in. We could have a formation change. So
Salah is looking a lot more like he's willing to pass this season. So
who's Salah?
Yeah, he passed more today than he did for the whole of last season when Mane was there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Very
I've got to be honest though. I'm a bit disappointed with Salah's performance tonight. I've got to be honest. I'm a bit.
He's on the wing. He's isolated.
I'm disappointed. Their left back, their left wing back, should I say, was tight on him. Didn't get much from him.
Yeah,
was that Mitchell?
Yeah, Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell.
And there was a time when the guy was following him, and Salah kept going back to the point where he's in our half, and the guy just didn't let him. And I'm just thinking there was a couple of times where in first half where Salah did make those runs, and he was a little bit dangerous. But other than that, he didn't really sparkle for me.
Yeah. No, he didn't. He didn't. To be fair,
he hasn't for a minute. To be fair.
So, they're saying, in my opinion, let's look at the setup. As 4-3-3 doesn't work as well without Mane as the main runner in behind.
I think we're going to be nitpicking here. And as he said, I think it was Tabriz has said, listen, we've played 2 games. We've played 2 games. It might be a slight transition. It may be that we're playing the same formation where players are actually understanding the partnerships and how they move, what intensity we wish to play. For me, listen, there's going to be no knee-jerk reaction from me. I think, yes, teams can change, teams can adapt. Since Klopp's been with us, I think we've played 4-3-3 the majority of the time. I know there was a couple of seasons ago with probably for about 2 games, we played a 4-2-3-1 and we played a 4-4-2, but those have been in the latter parts of the game.
Yeah. We've
got something that works here. Yes, it's important to tweak it, and we're currently tweaking it right now. No concern. We're not a little club. We're not.
No. What do you reckon on that, Tabriz? About changing our formation? Now you've got different type of players.
Well, I mean, that's what Nunes brings us now. It kind of brings like a different type of problem to other teams, and of course, more like options for like us. I have to. Because again, it's been a long time since we've actually been in this situation where, we're like talking about, drawing 2 games and thinking, wow, like this is like the league finished. Because, before it'd be just competing just to be in the top 4 or top 5. So, literally, I want to kind of almost sit back and think, okay, you know what, we are in a good place. It's great that, we are in a position where getting 2 draws against, 2 decent teams, we are worried about, where Liverpool will just fit in at this present moment in time. Because it is a transitional moment. However, we are creating the chances, which is the most important thing.
It's key, very much so. It's key. Anytime, Preds, what do you reckon on that then? Changing the formation.
I I know someone dear to me, someone close to me wants to change the formation or plan B. He keeps saying to me. I think we've got a formation that's Klopp's philosophy. That's the way he wants to play. We've played it for many years. It's a case of the players adapting to what Klopp wants. I think it will come at some stage. It's just that on paper we're good enough to win today. On paper, regardless of transition period, like we're good enough individually to win that game. So yes, we are creating chances. No, I wouldn't change the system because it's tried, it's tested, it works. It's just a case of that, we're just like every other club. Some teams start quite brightly after pre-season, and some teams take a little bit of time to get the momentum going. And we're just taking that little bit of time to get our momentum going. That's it.
KV.
I agree with everything Press just said. Everything, exactly that. Nothing to worry about. I wouldn't change no formation. I think the team will click, and when they click, and that'll be it. But for now, go with what works. We got a real injury problem. That's the main thing. That is we could talk about formation but we don't have the players to fill it at the moment. So what we can do is hopefully players come back as soon as possible and stick with what Liverpool does, how we play, and trust the players we have.
All right, I'm going to get a bit deeper into this formation thing. I'm going to need my fountain of knowledge there. Stoney. Nunes, when he was in Portugal.
Yeah.
Was he was playing more on the left-hand side of what of it, a 4-3-3?
That's correct. Yes, he was. Yes.
Shit.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah.
So what are we looking at then? Are we looking at that Nunes need to go out to the left more then? Or are we saying that Nunes has to stay central and be that central figure? Or are we looking at Klopp knows the kind of player that he's brought? Everyone's saying that he's like an out-and-out number 9 because of his height and whatever, so forth. So are we meant to use him as an out-and-out number 9? What is it to be, gentlemen? Tell me.
He's got to stay on the pitch for one.
that would help.
That would help. You know what I mean?
I think if anything, it will allow us to, like we've been mentioning in the show, it allows us to have that little bit more adaptability. Because remember, it's the same thing with Salah. Salah plays out on the right, but we've played him a few games where he's actually played centrally.
Through the middle,
I think with Nunes, what we're probably seeing is that he's playing at the top of the three, as opposed to how Jota and Bobby play, where they drop him back as more of the ambush. So that's where I think the little adjustments were. Hey, look, we never ever know. That may be an option in one of the games where Nunes plays primarily over the left and Diaz or Salah plays centrally. And it may even be where Carvalho plays over on the right on the top-hand side or Harvey Elliott plays over there on the top-hand side. As you said, it's two games. We may see it in one of the League Cup games. We may see it in a FA Cup game. We may see it in one of the Champions League games. But the fact that he can actually play either of those two positions will only benefit us.
You know what, right? To be fair, when we signed Nunes, we spoke about it, and I think that maybe me and Breeze or me and Prez, I wasn't excited about the Nunes signing. I'm happy he signed everything. I wasn't overexcited because we knew this was going to happen. Mane is a huge loss, and Nunes is not good enough to fill them boots immediately. In time, possibly even Diaz is not good enough to fill them boots immediately. So this what we're going through right now is really not a surprise. I think we pretty much anticipate this was going to happen.
Yeah, and it's funny because I read one of the comments. I think Billy said second place is going to be up for grabs, or like he said something like that. Second place is now. Yeah, it's going to be competition for like second place. So it's kind of almost like Billy thinks that Liverpool, and well, it's not even just Billy. I think we're not going to win the Premiership this season. I think that we will finish runners up. But, you're looking at Chelsea, you're looking at Arsenal, you're looking at Spurs. They have improved, and you can visually see like the players that they've got have actually made them better. Right now, for us, it's almost, okay, we've got Nunes. Let's see how certain things work in in kind of different phases of play. And yeah, KV's right. Like, you know, I know KV wasn't excited about, you know, Nunes. I wasn't, you know, it's not a marquee signing. But also as well, you know, let's see how things pan out in the next maybe half a dozen games, and then from there we could probably make a better assessment in terms of
next
how
half a dozen games he's going to miss 3 of those.
He's going to be sitting with the analyst.
He's going to miss 3 of those, bro. Yeah.
Can I just respond? Can I just respond to what Tabrice was saying?
Go on.
It's a valid point that Tabrice was saying, and you know what? I think was quite interesting in terms of that. So we were speaking about the possibility. I think Billy or someone else was saying there's a possibility that we may not win the league and that we may come second. All right. And what Tabrice was able to do was give rationale to why that may also be the possibility as well. But this is something that's been going through my head, and I know a few people have been commenting to me on some of the other platforms that I'm on. As much as our squad may not be as strong as this season, and we'll just give an example due to Mane moving, all right? Man City are going to be much stronger because they got Haaland and, you know, a few other players. But as much as we may not be as strong, Tabrice has just hit the nail on the head here, right? Tottenham, Arsenal, and Chelsea will improve this season. And if they also improve this season, as much as we may not be able to be as firing on as much cylinders as last season, they're probably going to be taking those points off Man City. So that's the way that I'm still looking at lightly. If they strengthen, Man City ain't going to get the points that they're going to get for next season because those clubs are going to be in the mold.
Mm-hmm. We did say that. We reckon that the Premiership's going to be one with a lot less points this year.
Yeah, it's going to be stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
Much stronger.
Right. So Joe says, I did mention that last week. I think we need a slight tweak, but yes, it is early days. Man United couldn't win the raffle if they bought the whole book.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Talking you says, Joe, that's because we are totally out of touch with the realities of modern football strategies.
So right there.
He's asking about Phillips' performance. We've already discussed that, Billy. We all said he had a decent game today. No one said he had a bad game. And we all agreed he wasn't at fault for the goal. So we said he had a decent game. He's brought him as he's talking about Nunes. He's brought him for Central. I can't see him as anything else. If he plays anywhere else, he will not get a lot of game time. That's not a bad point, to be fair, because I can't see him taking Salah's place, and I can't see him taking Diaz's place if he was to play out wide, to be honest. I think he's his place centrally.
Well, I tell you what, Nunes definitely needs to get fined because once Jota the Shutter starts scoring goals, he will have to warn the bench. Because we know when Jota's on game.
Well, this is what we need, the competition for places, man. That's what it's about, being a top side. That's what it's about. So when you get your opportunity, you're hungry. That's what it's about. 100%. But until then, Jota's out for a while. So this was his opportunity to step up.
I think this might have
the World Cup is going to play a massive part in who wins the league this season as well.
You know what? I think now with Nunes out, I think thinking about how versatile some of our players are, I have a feeling that maybe Salah should go into the middle, Diaz on one wing, and possibly Harvey Elliott on the other, and then
that's what I was saying.
Will probably come in.
That's exactly what I was saying.
That's how we might have to line up next week.
That could work.
That could work.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, and then maybe your boy Naby should be back by next week as well. He should be back by next week. You know.
Listen. Let's not do this, is it? We already know. Yeah, Naby's not the answer. He ain't the one. What did Naby say? He ain't the answer, Sway.
He ain't the one. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying about Naby, right? But we've got to keep together here because he's a squad. He's part of the squad, And when he does come on, we've got like we want him to do the best he possibly can do. Yes, it hasn't kicked. Yeah, it hasn't kicked off for him. I know that, but I still got to support the lad and say, like, when he plays and he's on his game, Naby could be an effective player for us. It's just Naby versus Fred.
Do you know with that, Preds?
I'm trying to give Naby some love here.
I know. You know my concern with Naby, and I know we've mentioned over the years that the one thing we didn't have was depth in squad. All right, so obviously Naby's part of that. When I watch Naby, I think my main thing is when I watch him, he seems like we're hoping he does something. You know, these other players that we're confident will do something or bring something. When I watch Naby, I'm watching him with hope. I hope he has a good game. So privately, I'm not looking to critique him. I'm hoping he has a good game so other people won't comment on him. But he's never had, since he's been there, and I know some things have been to do with injury, maybe to do tactics. He's never ever had a run of 3 games where you can say, you know what, he's ready or he's contributed. And I think that's my main concern with Naby. That's my main concern with him.
2 stories.
Well, I mean, again,
to be fair, all of our players, you can at some point say that, you know what, there was like a 9.5, 10 in a game. I don't think Naby's had that. He's had 8s and 9s for me and that, but I don't think he's had that 9.5, 10 game for me.
Never. I've never seen that 10 game ever.
See, but then that just brings us a question of like the squad. Then the quality of the squad is it dipping then? Because I've got to be honest. If you look at it from last season when Mane was here, if you look at Man City squad and Liverpool squad, if you compare the goalkeepers, championship winning goalkeeper, back 4, championship winning back 4, front 3, championship front 3. But for me, sometimes I struggle to think, has Liverpool got that championship midfield? That Man City have got that championship midfield. Then so there's the gap. Is the gap widening in regards to
the midfield of Thiago, Henderson, and Fabinho? In my opinion, just as good as Man City midfield.
No, we're talking about the squad.
But the squad.
But I think it's hard. Man City have probably got about 6 million midfielders. Yeah. And my personal opinion is, Man City have got a wonderful squad. But if you're looking, and this is just me here, right? Me thinking based on what Preds was saying. If we're thinking of the difference between their midfielders to ours, this is just my opinion, is one player and he's called De Bruyne. Yes? And he's on a different level. That is a different level. We don't have that. Yeah. We don't have that.
Yeah. And that's why I asked the question. Like that's the one that's what we've been craving for, a player, not even in the same ilk, but a creative player who will do, like, Coutinho, because the last player I think
if Thiago could score more goals, he could be that. But
Thiago, for me, Thiago
on the weekend outside of the boot, like, come on, man. And he did it with ease as well. It's like, come on, man. Come on. Like a training game.
The only thing I can say is I've seen James Ward-Prowse score.
Oh.
He's looking for another soundbite. He is.
Oh my God!
Oh, he saved that one. That is special.
The Breezy's got a percentage on them, isn't he?
We all walked right into that, didn't we?
Right, you know what? I'm gonna go and buy Jake. I'm gonna go and buy him on Football Manager.
You just mentioned Jay Ward-Prowse in the same breath as Kevin De Bruyne, bro.
You know, if we're looking at a midfielder that can literally probably get 8 to 10 goals a season.
Yeah, from open play.
No. Listen, everyone's seen how he can strike a ball, great. But I think he can run on. We've seen him run onto balls and literally whack them. And also as well. And also as well, if we can compare Naby to James Ward-Prowse.
Lee, move on,
will ya? No. As Mr. B said, It's Naby versus Fred. Battle of the Turds, yeah?
Naby versus Fred versus Raw Prowse.
Honestly,
This conversation is like what's better, the fried chicken at that shop or that shop? Like,
So Breeze,
and they're both
on the current market, how much do you think Ward Prowse would?
I think it'll be about 40 million.
Yeah.
How much?
40.
40.
And he's probably about the same.
He's
About
20.
He's probably about
28,
26, 27,
I think
27.
I think it's 20.
28.
Yeah, 27.
Yeah, 27. And he just signed a new contract as well, right? Yeah, he did.
For sure.
Because he did. Okay, no problem. Listen, you know the beautiful thing about this is people have different opinions, and I think that's just beautiful.
True stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, like he would actually fit to the Liverpool team.
I'll take that 40 million and I'll put it to, what do you call it? Towards Bellingham's left, his right leg. That's what I do with that, mate. I'll tell you that now. Make a down payment. Here you go. Here's my deposit. I'll pay you the rest later. I don't think you need the De Bruyne type midfielder when your fullbacks create enough.
Listen, I'm greedy. We'll have the De Bruyne type midfielder
100%.
as well. Add that to
100,
to
of
us.
course, 100%.
I'm greedy.
Could you imagine him feeding them as they're making a run? Come on.
I'm greedy.
Yeah, mate. Right now, De Bruyne is the guy, man. He's the guy. I don't care what anybody says. In central midfield, all round he's the guy. There's no if buts or maybes in Europe. De Bruyne is the hands down, man, and that's the kind of players that we should be looking at. It's the kind of players we need to bring in.
Well, you never know. Cavallo might come out and he might be the one that gets nurtured.
This is
Cavallo's
what
got
we're
nurtured.
hoping.
Thank you.
This is exactly what we're looking at.
You got the stripper there as well.
But in the meantime, what are we going to do in the meantime? We're not waiting for Curtis Jones to come back to fitness. I'll tell you that, man.
The stripper.
Curtis Jones is starting to remind me of Emre Can, feeding up the ball.
Not even. I think Emery had some end product. I mean, Curtis Jones is a very talented footballer, but he's just dancing with it. He don't do nothing with it.
Yeah,
no nothing with the dancing. Come like the Nilsson. Remember the Nilsson?
Oh my gosh! Of course.
So good technically, but just nothing else with it.
Made a brilliant.
They remember bringing you mutton and no rice.
Made a brilliant advert for Brazilian airport. I'll tell you that much. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, my peoples. All right. Before we go, overall team rating for Liverpool this evening. Then, overall team, not for players. Overall for the whole team, as a whole.
I give it a 7. I mean, we tried. We helped them pass. Couldn't blow the house down. For me, they get a 7.
Okay, Prince.
Because we had 10 men and we came from behind and we got a draw, I'll give them a 7. Just because we,
Yeah. I think I agree with KV Preds. I think it's a 7 today. 7.
Okay, Tabrice.
I'm gonna give Liverpool a 6. We had chances, but like sending off. Darwin should have known better, especially at that time where we were still losing. And I literally want to see more. I can't give out 7s that easy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and that was my mark as well. I'd give a 6 because we had chances and we didn't take them. For me, so from that perspective, I definitely say, you know what, I'll give him an overall 6. But all right, just before we go quickly, gents, was the performance better than last week?
I didn't really watch the whole game last week, so I'm just gonna say yeah.
Friends?
Yes, it was a better performance than Fulham. Yes, I'd say it was a marginally better performance, not a great performance.
Okay, Stoney.
Made any sense?
I don't know. I find it hard because it was a very strange game today for me. Just to try and break it down in my head, And against the Fulham game, it seemed like we didn't do anything until 47 minutes. So whereas today, as I said, it was a strange game, at least then we were probing from, it may not have been at the level that we expect or the tempo or XYZ, but yeah, if we're probably looking at two completely different games, but yeah, because we didn't start until too late in the Fulham game, I suppose today was a better performance, but two completely different ways that we actually played as well. Yeah. Completely different personnel, different partnerships. So I think for me, it's very hard for me to compare.
Okay, to Breeze.
Stoney, I totally agree with you 100%. It's hard to compare, with the sending off and coming back from a goal down, and then second half at Fulham, we looked at it. Yeah, you know what? Like when you actually think about it, it was just a weird result. Getting a point against, with 10 men against a decent Palace team, you should be happy, but also, what looms over the hills, we know the potential top 3, top 4 are actually going to be rubbing their hands, thinking that's points lost for Liverpool. There's literally an opportunity now for us to literally stamp our authority, but it's a hard one. You know what? Yeah, I think marginally, just about a better performance.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think marginally a slightly better performance because we got going from the off. I think that's what it was as well. Put our foot down, but I think that also had something to do with us being at home, and obviously the way that they've set up. But it still was slightly marginally better performance because we created a lot more. Speaking for, would you rather take
none of them?
you know the rock and the hard place. 100% the rock and the hard place.
Oh, that's bad.
Nah,
well, it's the build up to the big one, isn't it?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. We're good. Trust me. I think we'll keep Nabby in that case. Gentlemen, we will be back, peoples. We will be back. Do remember, like, share, and subscribe. It's all about Thursday night, where we have the preview to the Scum game. Liverpool versus the Scum.
Nice.
Yeah, have to step it up, boys. Have to step it up and get those 3 points. So we're going to say good night, KB, because you're going to need all the sleep you can get right now, mate.
No, like that. No, like that. Thank you, my brother. I like that, but I love it. It's music to my ears.
I could imagine. Yeah, wait till you do it a second time. Then you'll know. We're going to say good night, Preds.
Good night, people. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Mr. R&B, my brother.
Yes, good night.
Good night. And of course, the Wealth of Norwich, my right-hand man, Mr. Stoney.
Good night, lads.
Do remember, it's all about Kop Talk.
Oh, sorry. So, I've got one more question. Artie, where are the quizzes?
Do you want that? Do you really want that smoke now?
No.
I can draw for it,
No.
I can draw for it, bro.
Not tonight.
We'll do it next week. And next week or the week after.
Through too many emotions, right?
No, I'll be honest. What it was, I had the quizzes, people, because it was pre-season, there was no football and whatever. You know what? I had the quizzes in to make it something different. But because we've got a lot to talk about now with the football, we've been on an hour now, right? But what I'll make sure I'll draw one out for Thursday.
Yeah.
So be prepared. Tell me your pen and your paper. Be prepared for Thursday. Yeah.
All I want to say is next time James Ward-Prowse is mentioned on the the person who mentions his name has to do a forfeit.
Oh, goodness.
Forfeit. I can't believe we're giving that guy airtime.
Yeah. Increase the forfeit from now.
From now.
Oh, that's crazy.
If we mention the unmentioned word from now.
Yeah. We're going to class that one as a swear word. You're going to have to put some money in the jar right in the season drink. Right. Good night. God bless and take care, peoples.